Hi there, my name is Dan, and welcome back to All One, the United Anatomy of Being. This is episode 14, called A Model of Existence, the Full Story. So we've already revealed some puzzle pieces, such as the four primary levels of being, some important truths about the physical universe, such as impermanence or constant change, balance, and a model of physical motion, and some puzzle pieces about the mind or the nature of the mind being separating, dualistic, with the capability to perceive and understand opposites, and then finally the indescribable or indescribability of singularity and oneness once you move beyond duality. All important puzzle pieces. In this episode, we're going to refer back to the entire physical universe and some of its characteristics from these previous puzzle pieces we've discussed, and we're going to start to assemble a few of them to understand some basic characteristics of the non-physical. So to reiterate, everything in physical existence has a beginning, an uncertain journey, or middle, and an end. While humans don't exactly know where the universe is in its arcing journey, or when it will end, or for some, if it will end at all, we do know something about its beginning and its journey or trajectory to date. It is almost universally accepted in the field of science, and therefore widely accepted by humans in general, that everything in the universe, or at least every building block for everything in the universe, exploded out with unfathomable energy from some source at the time of the Big Bang. Before that event, there was nothing physical in existence. This is not necessarily an easy concept to imagine or grasp, but as we understand or know this physical universe and existence to be right now, none of it existed prior to the Big Bang. There was no physical universe, no physicalness, and nothing physical existed. But this doesn't mean that nothing existed. At the time of the Big Bang, unfathomable energy exploded from a non-physical source, instantly slowed and cooled to form the smallest building blocks of physical existence, or physical level existence, and then immediately began joining together to form bigger or more complex systems of existence. Energy converted into quantum particles, or the very few and smallest physical building blocks. Quantum particles join to form subatomic particles, including protons, neutrons, and electrons. Subatomic particles join to form atoms, and first hydrogen atoms, which is the simplest union of protons, neutrons, and electrons. And within a relatively short time after this event, all of the hydrogen that currently exists in the universe was created. And when thinking about both the simplicity and complexity of union that created everything physical, it's important to note that as hydrogen is the simplest possible atomic union with one neutron, one proton, and one electron, it should not be surprising at all that hydrogen is the most abundant element in the entire universe. And then hydrogen, fused under immense heat and gravitational pressure, to form helium as the next simplest union of subatomic particles. And again, it should not be a surprise that helium is the second most abundant element in the entire universe. So every small thing in physical existence exploded from one source in all directions, outward from a central source, which, as some scientists speculate, doesn't necessarily mean one singular or finite central point. These are some of the fine scientific debates that seem to be continually changing as humans learn more about the universe. But these smallest things join to form all the subatomic particles, which join to form all the atoms, which join to form molecules, which eventually joined to create the stars and the planets and the moons and comets and galaxies. And the creation of these bigger physical things took a lot longer to form than atoms. But as everything continued expanding out from this central source of the Big Bang, things began to further cool and slow compared to the heat, speed, and force of the Big Bang event. And currently, the universe is still expanding roughly 13 to 14 billion years later. There are now, again, atoms, molecules, planets, moons and suns and comets and galaxies in the physical universe. And there is water and life here on Earth from a growing and developing complexity of the smallest things in physical existence joining together since the 4.5 billion years the Earth has been in existence as a result of its own complex and elemental union. And for the same reason, or the way this whole process works, just as a side, it is very likely that there is water and life elsewhere in the universe. But anyway, as scientifically accepted, the physical universe, just like everything else in physical existence, had a beginning. Most humans can and have agreed on this, be it from recent scientific acceptance, religious beliefs on creation, or ancient mythologies on creation. The common concept, though, is creation, and humans almost universally accept that our universe had a beginning. While we don't necessarily know how far along the universe is in its journey, again, because we do not understand and can't possibly observe its full cycle, it is often questioned whether the universe will have or actually has an end. And there could be no intellectual proof of this because it's entirely impossible, again, for humans to physically observe or even see enough evidence of its possible end. But the physical journey of the universe is not different from anything else in it. The physical universe exists physically. Everything in physical existence which we know to be has a beginning, an uncertain journey, and an end. So while it may not be possible to prove through direct observable experience, it can be inferred that the two-dimensional model of the journey of the physical universe looks exactly like the two-dimensional model of everything else in it. It has a beginning, a rising journey towards an apex, and then a falling journey towards a dissolution or an end. Other basic truths about any physical existence are that it is physical, meaning it has mass, and it is also constantly changing, constantly moving, and thus impermanent. And on some level, as we are aware, because we can differentiate between all the different things in this physical existence, its nature is separated or separate. However, even though it cannot be proven as truth with the tool of the mind, at least not yet, the universe is like everything else in it, and its full model of existence is once again this circular pattern or this circular model. Now this is where we start to assemble a few pieces of the puzzle to understand some characteristics of the lower arc of this circular model, or the non-physical level of being. So with the reality of duality and opposites on both the physical and mental levels, as a result of mental separation and differentiation, even though everything with perceived duality can also be viewed wholly or perceived singularly, if the properties of any physical existence are that it is physical, constantly moving or changing, thus impermanent, and separated, then its opposite, or the unseen level of existence, must inherently have opposite properties that are non-physical, unchanging, permanent, and fully or totally united. And this model is not, we haven't put enough puzzle pieces together, but this model is a great starting point to begin to understand what existed prior to the beginning of the physical universe and physical existence, how it was formed, and what the underlying level of being or the non-physical soul really is. And in a few episodes from now, we're going to get to that clearer understanding, but first we still need to look at another perspective of this model of motion and this model of existence. So in the next episode, we're going to be discussing the topic of separation and return. Thank you very much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.